following somebody else to go into a business that you don't have the gift for, or that you went in just because of the money, will not give anybody satisfaction. You need to know that this is what you want to do. Because right now, I tell you, if it was not what I wanted to do, I would have said goodbye and gone back to the office a long time ago. My name is Lady Job, or Lady Hilda Tamunobelema Job. That's the full name, a mouthful. So, Lady is my first name. It's not a title. I've been in trouble so many times with people asking me, what my name is. When they ask me and I tell them my name is Lady Job, it's like, what's your real name? So eventually, at one point, I changed it. I changed the spelling to Laddie, and then I got into trouble. Um, being addressed as Mr. Laddie. So I changed it back to the original spelling. So yeah, I run the Lady Salon Limited, trading as the Lady Hair Spa. I've been in business now, professional business, for about 16 years. I started in Westminster when I left the corporate world and decided that I'm going to, use my gift to be a blessing. So that was where I started from, and now we are located at Westmoreland Road. And I came from an IT background, turned, hair care specialist. I started as a hairdresser, and I wanted more. I wanted to know a lot more, and actually, somebody gave me an interesting title in one another interview I did. So I decided, I said, no, for me to bear that title, I think I need to learn more. So I'm currently a trichologist and an hair care specialist. I actually studied computing to a master's degree. I actually have an HND, BSc, and an MSc, all in computing. I worked as a programmer and also moved on in the career ladder to working as a project manager and systems analyst. But I think after 12 years or so, I somehow decided I was going to make a change, and that was after I came back from maternity leave after my second daughter. When you go on maternity and you come back, you're usually not exactly where people want you to be. Your job is taken by somebody and all the rest, and things were not exactly the way I wanted it to be. But that wasn't the main reason why I left. I went on a church planting event and just desired to serve the Lord. And I think everything just happened about that time. So many things happening. So when we came back, I prayed and asked the Lord to use me for something, because I just felt that I needed to do more, and I felt in my spirit that God wanted me to. I wanted to use me for something, and that was how it started. And you know, I was somehow I had this scripture in my spirit that bothered me for so long. When I say bothered, it never stopped. It kept coming on, and eventually I had to pray about it and all the rest. And that was when I decided. I said, "Okay, it looks like God actually wants me to, do something with my life beyond IT." And I prayed about it. I believe that I am multi-talented, or multi-talented and somehow multi-skilled, but the skill comes from learning. But talent, that's what God gave me. So I decided on two of the talents that I believe God gave me, and that is cooking. I love cooking, and I love hairdressing. With hairdressing, I used to do it even while I was at uni to make ends meet as a student. Cooking, I just love cooking. I don't know how it started, but I love cooking. So I prayed about it and just decided that, okay, I'm not sure about cooking every day. I don't know for hairdressing, I don't even know where to start, because all I know is just the basic thing. But then I eventually decided if I have to do it, I have to do it well. So prayed, and I eventually decided that I was going to leave the office. But then, like I said, I still didn't know what to do. And praying about it, I will just share the scripture that that came to mind when I was going through this. Isaiah 58, verse 10 to 12 says this. It says, "Feed the hungry and help those in trouble. Then your light will shine out from the darkness, and the darkness around you will be as bright as noon. The Lord will guide you continually, giving you water when you are dry and restoring your strength. You will be like a watered garden, like an ever flowing spring." This is the main part now, verse 12 says, "Some of you will rebuild the deserted ruins of the city. Then you will be known as the rebuilder of the world and a restorer of homes." In other version, it says some of you will um, lift up the foundations of the next generation. And for me, that was what it was. That you know my call is to help lift up the foundations of the next generation, but I didn't know what that meant, so I had to continue to pray about it. And then I eventually um, felt in my spirit that the place I need to go, or what I need to do, is to open a salon and employ people to work for me. But then that was my limited knowledge. God had a different plan. Initially, when I started, I had someone who was supposed to work with me. 2 weeks before we opened the salon, she changed her mind and I got stuck. So I've been stuck in the salon for 16 years. So that's the beginning of this journey. When I started also, I actually opened the salon very close to Scotland Yard, and I'll be honest with you, that was by faith, because the rent there was expensive and all the rest. But it's like, Lord, is that where you want me to be? If that's where you want me to be, you have to sort things out. So that was what happened. I started very close to former Scotland Yard by St. James's Park. I was there for about 3.5 years, and eventually things changed. The moment I accepted the journey, the call upon my life turned. I wouldn't say upside down. It just went, it turned to something that I never imagined it would be. But then God has a way of doing something. I looked at it as if I got into a cocoon and then came out on the other side, because yeah, it was challenging and I'm still going through it. But that was it's like going downhill and not knowing whether you're going to come out of the hole. One of the things I would say to anyone who want to transition, um, you can, if you actually desire to actually transition. Because some people say it, "Oh, I would love to, I would love to." Yeah, it's a good idea, but do you really want to do it? If you really want to do it, then the first thing is finding out, what am I going to offer, or what am I good at, or what is it that is my gift away from my academic knowledge and academic pursuit. And the way I found what I wanted to do was just one thing. If someone does not pay me, would I still do this work, whatever thing it is? And that was how I narrowed my skills, or no, my talent, to what I chose to do. Because if somebody doesn't pay me, I will still do hair for somebody, for people. That was what I said to myself. I said, because the desire is not money. I can't help it. The money will come because it's a business. But if I have what it takes to motivate myself to do everything that I need to do, then money will come. So the most important question, or the most important thing to ask oneself in order to discover if they should or shouldn't, because when the rubber hit the road, you need to know that what you left your career path for is better than, you know, um, if you were in your career path, or I mean your academic career, or whatever thing it is. So still the question is, if you were not paid for that gift, to use that gift, would you give it free? If you know you will give it free and it gives you joy, that's your gift. Because a gift is given freely. So that's your gift. You would give that to somebody as a gift. But if it is something that you think, oh, this is something that I just want to do to set up a business, or this person is doing this business, that one is doing that business, I think there is money there, so let me go in. Yeah, there might be money there for someone, but it may not be there for you, because it might be their call and they put in everything that they need to put in. I remember when um, Microsoft was running their certification programs. Oh my goodness. Almost everybody, because at that time somehow people came to um, realize or know that, being an IT person, you get paid a lot, especially if you have certification. I did have 4 certification. I'm Microsoft certified engineer, you know, and even people who didn't study computing and just were interested in making money. A lot of them bought books and they read and passed this thing, Microsoft this, Microsoft that, Microsoft this, and all the rest. A lot of them, they had the papers, but they didn't have the knowledge. So did they get the money? No, it's pursuing somebody because the money is there will not give you that satisfaction. I did get I think, a form certification as a systems engineer, a database administrator, and it's been a while now. Can't remember, but the other day I saw my lapel. There are about 4 of them, and I just thought, well, that's what I studied. So for me, it's no big deal. I just love it. I love programming. So for me, that's what I will say. Following somebody else to go into a business that you don't have the gift for, or that you went in just because of the money, will not give anybody satisfaction. You need to know that this is what you want to do. Because right now, I tell you, if it was not what I wanted to do, I would have said goodbye and gone back to the office a long time ago. It's been 16 years of climbing this mountain. It's been 16 years, and each day I just said to myself, there is an end to every beginning. If it started somewhere, it will end, because even life comes to an end. So that's what is keeping me going, because I love what I do. I believe I have the gift of encouragement. That one I know. I have the gift of encouragement, and I have the gift of administration. Those are 2 gifts. Everybody have their gift, but those are 2 gifts that I know by God's grace are operating with ease. And in terms of encouragement, because I'm an encourager, sometimes some people find it difficult to deal with my person, because it's like, oh, you can't seem to see this, you can't seem to see, things this way or that way. I on one of my videos, I I made a comment about inviting me to pity party. If you invite me to pity party, I don't have the skills to handle it, so I don't get involved. Because if you invite me to a pity party, I will change the party to something else. And that is to tell you, or the person, that that is not the end of life. That is not the end of everything. So the reason I'm saying this is that I came from a background where I'm the youngest among my mother's children. And I decided that I want to chart a different path for myself. I'm from Nigeria. I got an admission in Nigeria to read law. And I mean, we know all the corruption and everything going on in our countries. I was ready for um, registration and all the rest, and whatever thing they do. My name was on the list of people who were going to do the, is it convocation, or which one is it? I can't remember now. And by the time I was ready, I remember even some of my friends were telling me, "Oh, you're going to come and stay with me in my hostel and all the rest. So I was prepared. We're just waiting for all the necessary things to be done. And then I went to I wouldn't mention the university. I went there to pick up whatever thing I needed to pick up. And then, like I said, it's more than 25 years ago. So some of the things I can't remember their names. And I was told my name was not there. And then what what was I supposed to do? I was supposed to go and meet somebody who is going to help me with one thing or the other. And usually, uh, being a female, somebody's inviting you for dinner date and all the rest. And I must say right now that I'm a kind of a stubborn person to principle. I'm very, very stubborn to principle, and stubborn to anything that is stupid, no. But when it comes to principle, I just believe that one in any country is one. It doesn't change. It doesn't matter where you go. One is one. Light is light in anywhere you go. So to tell me that, you know, this is, I mean, there is no, light is dark and darkness is light. It will be very difficult because that's just doing my head in. So because I had good results, I was really, really annoyed that somebody is asking me to come for dinner in order for me to get into university. What would dinner date do for me to get into university? So really, somebody wants to use an opportunity to commit some nonsense. So I just told my mom, she was alive then. I said, no, I'm tired of this uh, situation. And put it this way, growing up, I had an issue with my person, from my head to my toe, eh? Or from my head down. I used to be blonde with an hourglass shape that used to cause me problems and all the rest. So I said to myself, I said, is it because of my physical look that I keep getting into all this situation? So I told my mom I was leaving Nigeria, and that was how I left Nigeria without much plan. I left Nigeria, and then of course I came in here with, because of lack of plans, I got into so many difficult situations and all the rest. Eventually, got myself into, I did secretarial course at one point. I remember while I was waiting for every other thing to be done. I think, I had to do an HND because I didn't have an A level. So they said to me, because my maths wasn't very, I didn't do well with maths. Any other subject was okay. I mean, I had good grades. Even when it came to mathematics, I just wasn't that good. I eventually had to do HND, and from HND, I went, I made a good result. So I eventually got into doing my BSc in computing and all the rest. And then, of course, I finished that. And after a few years, I decided I was going to go for my master's. And that was, I think there was about kind of 6 to 8 years gap, because I told my husband then that I wanted to do my master's. It's like, oh, you've got all your Microsoft certifications and all the rest. You don't need it, and all whatnot. I came from an academic family. So I said no. I really wanted to, and I still love books. I still love books. I have too many of them. So I want to do it, but of course, when you're married, you have to do the right thing, agree, and then things will happen. I had my first daughter when I was in my early 30s, and then there was a gap in between where I think I had a miscarriage of twins, and then this is me bearing it now, miscarriage, and then it didn't stop me. I just said no, I still want to try one more, and then my second one came, and my second one, I actually got pregnant with her when I was in my early 40s. Now that tells you, you wonder, it's like, how old am I? Yeah, I'm close to my 60s. I don't look it, yes, to God be the glory. So I had my second one when I was in my early 40s. And I was 4 months pregnant when I decided to go to uni to do my master's. I'm saying this because anyone who thinks, oh, I can't do this, I can't do this, which is also why I said I don't join PT party. If you want to do it, you can do it. You just have to create whatever it is that will allow you to do what you need to do. So at that time, because I'd had a miscarriage, even my one of my sister-in-law was a bit concerned. She said, "You're 4 months pregnant and you want to go to uni." And I said, "Yeah, I really want to do this thing." And this time, a friend of mine came from the US, and she was the one that was going to do a master's. I said, "I'll join you." And as at that time, I was a full-time staff, still in IT. I had a daughter who is about 6. I was married, full-time job, and I decided I was going to use my annual leave to go to uni. So I used my annual leave 2 days every 2 days or one day, 2 days every week to go to uni. And I'll be honest with you, I actually finished my course same time as every other person. I was actually stopped from coming to uni a week before I gave birth, just in case anything happened. They said, "Don't come in." And truly, I gave birth a week before. I know the week they said to me not to come in, that was the week I gave birth. And I finished my exams same time as every other person. I didn't take time off, and I made a very good result. So I remember when they invited me to come and do, um, support some of the master students, and sometimes you go there, you want to, when they do their presentations and you want to help them, they tell you, "Oh, it's because of this they couldn't do their assignment and all the rest." And like I said to you, that's no excuse to me. I tell them, if I can carry a full-term pregnancy, my daughter was even overdue, and finish with a good result, you can't tell me that you can't finish your assignment because you have to do this and all the rest. So I'm saying all this just to encourage people. The Not because I'm a superwoman, it's just because I determine, you know, in my mind that I want to succeed. I want to succeed. And my success is personal to me. It doesn't depend on somebody. So I had to make sure that whatever thing I do, I am doing it following the path that I believe will take me to that destination. So, that was what I did. And of course, at one point, I even took my daughter, I even took my daughter to one of my exams in a pram. So I'm in a room and I want to breastfeed, I go and breastfeed. And then I finish, they give me time, pause it, and I come back and I sit my exam. That was how determined I was. And to be honest with you, I had surprised myself because I really wanted to prove also to everyone who is scared around me that, "Oh, you had a miscarriage before. Why are you doing this?" I said, "No, if I can't, I will stop." And yeah, I went through it and, of course, came out with a good result. And, you know, I was happy. I was really happy with that. Me going through that is also to show somebody that if you're determined to do something, you can do it. And then a lot of the time, I think the problem we face is we have a lot of social activities and other things that, crowd our space, and is deciding whether you want to do this or not do that. I devoted my time to getting myself somewhere. So there are so many things that I decided to get rid of because I thought there's a time for everything under the sun. I mean, I may not be able to do everything, but God says there is a time for everything. So when I get to a particular place, I know that I can always choose which part I want to. You know, you can't carry everything at the same time. You can only carry so much load and then come back and pick up whatever. So for me, that's my mentality about it. Anybody who wants to change career path or whatever, you just have to give up some things. You can't have all the parties, all the dinners and everything and decide that you're going to get there. No, it doesn't happen like that. You need to give up some things. And then when you get there and you finish, if you don't if you don't sow now and reap tomorrow, when you get to tomorrow, you find a way to sow. And that time may be late because It's either your body doesn't allow you, time has passed, and all the rest. So it's always good when you can that you do what you can so that you don't come back to where you left. You know. So for me, that is one of the things I know that if I could do it, I'm not saying I'm super. If I could do it, anybody can do it. I didn't have I wasn't born with golden spoon. I wasn't given golden spoon. As a matter of fact, I tell you one thing. When I finished uni, my first degree, um, I I went for, I think I applied for a job placement or something like that, and a South African white lady said to me, "Oh, you're such an intelligent young woman. The only thing that will stop you from progressing in your career is your accent." And I thought, my accent? I was really annoyed. But of course, when you're desperate for a job, you don't show it. And of course, she wouldn't be able to say that now, what she said to me, because I mean, she'll probably, get into a big trouble. And I said, my accent. And I'm a very logical person. And I said to myself, my accent doesn't have brain. My accent is my identity, you know, because why would my accent stop me from progressing? Because my brain is what has brought me this far. My accent is my identity. If I'm French, I will sound French. If I'm Scottish, you will know I'm Scottish. So is it because I have an African accent? So I decided I'm going to make sure that I keep this accent so that when I get there, I know that the accent didn't stop me. So that's one of the reasons why I have kept my accent. I said, no, I am not going to. If I sound different now, if I don't sound too much African, it's not, because I'm trying to, maybe because I've adulterated it. But that was one of the reasons I just thought. Telling me that my accent, I didn't create myself. The fact that God did not ask my permission to put me in Africa, He didn't ask my permission whether what skin color I like, He didn't ask my permission who I want to be. I just came into this world. I didn't even know I was going to be here. He just placed me here. So for anybody to criticize me for something that I do not have a party to even decide, I find that a little bit questionable, because none of us decide that we want to be this person or that person. God created each and every one of us. Whether people believe there is God or not, that's up to them. God created each and every one of us. We came into this world with absolutely nothing. And then we turn around to what? That I am light skinned and or somebody is dark skinned and that makes them inferior. How? If Van Gogh decided that he was going to paint one flower pink and another one green, how can the two flowers now decide that, oh, you are more superior, that one is this thing? It comes from the creator's mind. And the creator decide to give them those colors, he decide to give them those features. So for me, when I hear people talk about all these whatever, it's like, if only we're using this, we know that be underneath this skin, it's all the same. We are just created differently, fearfully and wonderfully made, as the Creator wants us to be. Fearfully, beautifully, wonderfully made. When I got into computing, there were very, very few female. As a matter of fact, Microsoft was not that known. It was Bill Gates was just coming to the market. We used to use Word Perfect, and I don't think anybody, the younger ones have, heard of anything like that. The typewriters were still in use, and being in that space, it was challenging. You're expected to be a geek and all the rest. Oh, if you're a programmer, they expect you in t-shirts and all the rest. I don't do the t-shirt thing. I dress up in suits, and as a matter of fact, sometimes I wear my tie and go to work and make fun with everybody. But yeah, it was a little bit challenging because it's like they see the IT environment as a guy's thing, and sometimes they will actually give you some kind of different kind of jobs, because they feel that men or the guys will do it better. But the last place I worked, that was one place that somehow I felt like somebody saw what I can do and allowed me to be myself. And initially, the team, the people or the guys I was working with thought I was a little bit too hard on them because I used to test the quite a lot of the software we write, and then I wear a different hat. I love testing. I test, and if we have to crash it, let's crash it before we give it to the client. So initially, when I started, I think some of the guys used to think it's like she's always picking on this. She's always, why is she using a fine tooth comb to do this and that? I said, well, it's called customer service. And of course, I still do the same thing. I have to pamper my clients. I say it's called customer service. Don't give the customer something that they would, after you give them this software, they bring it back with all the bugs and all the rest. Why don't you just deal with it? So when they notice that my testing is actually giving them time to play games, oh, they love it. It's like test it as much as, so that way nobody brings it. One of the things I used to do is to write how to for the help system, and then they plug it in. The guys I worked with, I'll be honest with you, we work as a team, and that challenging when you have too many men in an office and then just one or two ladies. And yeah, that I did enjoy my IT career. I still do IT work for my business. I started as a hairdresser. I actually went to South Thames College to do my hairdressing, and it was very interesting. Here is me in my 40s. I'm in a class with teenagers, and would I call them? Yeah, still teenagers. Some of them are 19 and the early 20s, just having, doing their own thing. And I have another friend who was also, about similar age as myself. We're in the class, studying with these young people, and it's like, boy, are we supposed to be here or what? But I know what I went in there for, and there was a time limit on it. There is always a time limit. For me, as long as I have a time limit, I can deal with it. So there, I finished with the course, and became a better hairdresser. But the reason I also went to college was because I did have quite a few employees when I was at when I was in Westminster. And one day I heard one of my staff said something that actually changed my journey to where it is. And I'm happy that I heard him say what he said. I don't know what happened, and uh, he said to one of the staff that, what does she know? She's only an IT person. And this guy was really, really good. I mean, I tell you, when he blow dries hair, almost every woman want to go to him rather than go to the female to blow dry their. He was just good. And when I heard him say that, and I thought, wait a minute, that is true. I've invested a lot in this business. If this guy goes, all my clients are going with him. So that's one of the reasons I decided. I said, no, let me go and learn my business. And that's one thing I would say. Anyone who is running a business or who wants to run a business, please know your business. Because if you don't know, you lose money. For the past how many years, I have been holding my business and taking it, to higher level without staff, especially with COVID and everything. And that's only because I actually went back to college and trained myself to know what I know now, and go through almost as many courses as I can. I even did customer service, you know, all the NVQs and all the rest. I wanted to make sure that I know enough about my business to keep it going. But if you don't know your business, when people leave, yeah, they either leave with your client, or you don't get somebody and your business, um, runs down. When I said I when I accepted the mandate or the call to leave the corporate world, or the corporate environment to take up this, salon work. Of course, it causes a lot of problems. Um, uh, in the sense that, I mean, two people are supposed to be bringing in a lot of money, and you want to, from being a high profile person, you want to now go and do what? Be a hairdresser. And yeah, it caused a little bit of unrest, but that's by the way. But quite a few things happened, and I left the office in 2006. I opened the salon in 2007, and 2010, of course. My husband then left us. I was with the two girls, and being a single mother at that time, it was very challenging. It was really, really challenging. I went from being going that way to rock bottom. When I say rock bottom, like I said, I'm sharing this because so that people can pick something from it. If the song say I'm every woman, sometimes I feel like that applies to me. That I'm every woman. I went from going up, earning so much, to rock bottom, to the point of being on income support. That's how rock bottom, income support. And I thought, nah, it can't be. I would allow myself to, because of marriage, to now get to that point where I am not getting out of. When you hit rock bottom, some people say, yeah, you dig deeper. You can How can you dig deep to get yourself out? You dig deep, of course you go deeper. So I decide to come out of the pit. You know, I decide to come out of the pit. At one point, my salon closed because my landlord refused to do repair work. After 3.5 years, Westminster always come to, do their what is it now? They come to check the places. And when they came, there was, kind of leak. And they had changed, something upstairs. Instead of a bathroom, they put something, shower or whatever. And somehow it was leaking through, and the ceiling was, you know, um, dirty or getting dirty. And they said to me, the landlord has to fix it. I've gone on so many times with the landlord to try and do something, refusing to do it. I decided I wasn't going to pay the rent, maybe for a month or two. That would make him do the work. But I had a terrible and wicked landlord, as far as I am concerned. Instead of doing the work, he decided to lock up the place. I was at home, and then I think my phone started beeping because I love gadget. I had a security system, so it kept beeping to say somebody was at my salon, and I thought, how at this time of the morning? And I checked to see, and yeah, truly. So I called the police, and they went there, and they said, oh, they came to change this thing because I refused to pay the rent. I said, why would I pay you rent when you're giving me substandard service? Just do the work, and I've not owed you. So that's a long story. So that was what happened. And the salon closed down. And then it was just after the salon closed down, um, Mr. Man also left. So now I was without a job. uh, that was how I went on income support after a lot of advice. I said no, I've never been on income support, and I wasn't going to do that. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just the fact that at that time I was not in that mental space to accept that from there going up, I'm now rock bottom to the point where I'm going to receive handout. But that was one of the things that happened. But I just said no, it's not for me. So I decided to start all over, renting space, going with my trolley. Got some. They locked up my shop for about 6 months. My things were there just the same way we arrange everything. 6 months, and I couldn't access them. So I decided to get a suitcase, bought some kit to do mobile work. And from the mobile work, I started, that was when I found Waterloo, and then, rented a chair to continue. And then, the lady wanted to sell, her lease or whatever. I took up the lease and I stayed there from 2011 until 2019 when I moved to the big place. But I was looking for a bigger place and finally found a place that I can design from scratch to what we now have as the Lady Hair Spa. So it's been a long journey, but I'm a fighter. I refuse to give up. And for me, like I said, principle is principle. I just believe that with God on my side, and if God had called me for a purpose, unless I give up, if I don't give up, then the one who created me and knitted me in my mother's womb and knows everything about me and placed me in Nigeria, well, I wasn't part of the creation. He is going to sort things out. That's my mentality, and that's what helped me to be able to come out of that situation. And one of my favorite scriptures is that He knows me even before I was formed. That God knows me even before I was formed. I always say the architect knows the property, better than the person who built the property, because the architect had all the blueprint of that property. And that made so much sense to me that God knew me even before I was formed in my mother's womb. He has a purpose for me. So if that is the case, then everything I'm going through is for His glory, is for a purpose. I just have to keep going and believe that He who knows my end and created me for that purpose will lead me to that end. I just have to keep believing that every challenge I face is a stepping stone. Even the time I moved into that place, I believe it was orchestrated by the Lord, in the sense that who knew there was going to be a pandemic? I had this urge in my spirit to say, you need to move now. And I kept saying, no, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money. I told a friend of mine, and I mentioned to him that, this is the date in my spirit, somebody who is like a brother to me. This is the day in my spirit, but I don't have this thing. And he said, let's pray about it. I moved over to Westmoreland Road on the 11th of the 11th. And who knew? 3 months after lockdown, we went into this pandemic and lockdown. And if I had not obeyed that voice in my spirit, there is no way I would have been able to, set up that place the way I set it up. I had bought every single thing I needed before we went into lockdown. But now you can see that we can't even get things. I had my two daughters, and all I wanted to do was to make sure that I do the right thing by them. Sometimes children don't understand when, their parents are going through a lot of challenges because, they're a little bit myopic in their view about the world. They want to do this, they want to do that. And, as a single mom, you can only be in one place at a time. And for me, that was one of the challenges I faced. You have two daughters, this one doing this one doing that, and I'm running a business. If I don't work, I don't get paid. Not like somebody who, okay, I'll call my boss to say I'm going to the office and I'm taking time out to take my, children to this, and I will still take an annual leave. I'll tell you, since I started this business, annual leave was off my list, my activities. I'm an encourager, and I refuse to accept that the glass is half empty. So my focus was more on the children, and I see them as God's gift. Um, Not necessarily to me, that God used me to bring them into this world. They didn't choose to come into this world. God chose them and used my body to bring them into this world. So I saw myself as a custodian before mom. So everything I did for them, I did it as a custodian for God, which made it easier for me. That if I can't deal with something, it's like the nanny. I'm just a nanny to them for God's sake. I'm just a nanny to them. In God's um uh what is it now? In God's kingdom, I'm their nanny. So I have to do everything to please God rather than me. So whenever we talk about, oh, they are my children, they're my children, no matter what happened, my mind is like, if he's looking at me, how am I treating them? Am I treating them right? And if they're going through difficulties or something is happening, why am I carrying the burden on me? You know, he's their father. He says, children are his heritage. We are all his heritage. I came through somebody. My mom didn't choose to have me. So for me, that's what one of the things, I'll be honest with you, that one of the things that helped me so much to be able to deal with it. If I can't, I pass it on. I'll do what I can do. In terms of relationship, I think it depends on where the person or how the relationship ended. With some, they can still have relationship with their partners and all the rest. Some, it ends in such a way that you don't even want to think about anything, any relationship or so. I think I'm kind of in the middle, and the middle in the sense that my focus is more on the girls. So relationship was not really on my agenda that quickly. And I'm still single, and I'm not complaining. I love my singleness. I love to get married at some point, but the most important thing is that I want to take care of my daughters in such a way that if God asked me, what did you do with the girls or the children I brought to you, or I put in your hand or placed in your hand, I can honestly say I did the best. My best may not be good enough for everybody, but my best is my widow's mite. And if it's my widow's mite, well, you know, if I had more, I could have. But in the situation I find myself, being an entrepreneur, running my own business, looking after two daughters, and also thinking about myself, I had to forget about myself and give them the time, the limited time I have. And then I surrounded myself with, well-meaning, wonderful people who are like family to me. If I decide to remarry, I will marry somebody who is like a friend to me. You know, the person has to be someone I can talk to, someone I can bear everything, and somebody who will not feel intimidated by my personality. I listened to this pastor, Dr. Cindy Trim once. I went for one of her events, and she said something that really touched me because at one point I thought maybe um, the reason I was having some challenges with some people was because of me. But she said something that actually helped me to reevaluate myself. She said, sometimes it's not about you, it is just that the person does not have the skills to deal with your personality. Not everybody can deal with me, I'll be honest with you, because I've had a few people who say to me, the way you think, you'll find it difficult to deal with certain kind of men. So I know that because I'm a very logical person, logical and principled. I ask questions in a way that can make somebody who is not there feeling a bit intimidated. It's not deliberate. It's just that's the way I think. So if somebody doesn't have the skills to deal with your personality and you've already entangled yourself, um, both sides will feel disappointed. So it's much better to get to know somebody because when you get into a relationship, a committed relationship, as a Christian, of course, I mean, we have boundaries, and that boundaries have to be kept. So you can't go on a date feeling that, oh, it's a romantic thing and all the rest. Well, other people who are not committed to the word of God, can choose the way they go. But if one follows the word of God, then there are boundaries that one cannot cross, you know. So it's learning exactly what needs to be learned before one get deeper into a relationship that helps one to make a better decision. For me, like I said, I'm an encourager. Don't invite me to pity parties. I don't have the skills to deal with it. And not that when I say I don't have the skills to deal with it, it's not that I don't sympathize. It's just that we don't want to continue in that place where somebody is always crying and all the rest. There's a time to cry. There's a time to move on. I lost a lot of things, a lot of investment. If I sat down there crying about those things, I wouldn't be where I am. you know I wouldn't be where I am. So yeah, I love my daughters. They were the focus of everything I did. It's almost like I forgot myself. At one point I forgot myself. So now I'm beginning to just gradually discover that I'm also somebody else's child who need to grow. We are not perfect. There is no perfect mother in this on this planet. A perfect mother is perfect for her children, not for any other person's child. Because the personalities are different. People think that the grass is green on that side. Yeah, the grass is green on that side because it's springtime. Their summer is coming, their autumn is coming, the winter will come as well when there will not be grass. There are three kind of people on this planet: the people who make things happen, the ones who will watch things happen, and the ones who do not know what is happening. I mean, what in the world is happening. And I would say I like to be the people in the first group to make things happen, because it's only when we make things happen that we actually um, create a kind of an evolutionary situation, isn't it? If everybody is sitting down, not doing something, or just, allowing things to go, nothing changes, you know, nothing changes. I used to go to Nigeria to run courses, and myself and my team, we have a segment, a motivational segment that I do before I actually, excuse me, before I actually run my program. And the motivational section is called "What's Your Excuse?" What's your excuse? And I gave it that title because we see people who, you know, are disabled, that actually do a lot more better than people who are full bodied. Because for me, I learn from people like that in the sense that they don't sit down to say, oh, because this is, you know, where I am. Take, for example, I don't know if you know John Foppe. The first time I saw, and Victor, I've forgotten his surname now. Yeah, I think it's Victor. John Foppe is somebody who he hasn't got arms. He uses he does everything with his legs. He's a motivational speaker. And sometimes when I see people like that, say, if that man without arms can make his bed, can give himself a bath, he walks, he does everything, his home is clean. Why would somebody who is able bodied give themselves excuse? Waiting for this person to do something for them, waiting for that person to do something for them. Then when you see God, you have to give a good reason why he gave you everything and you're not using it. It's almost like the parable of the talent, isn't it? One person had one talent, another one three, another one five. The one with the one decided to keep it. He said, no, he knows his master. I'm not going to do this and that. So decide to keep it. The other ones did something with it and they were blessed. It's the ones that use their gift or their talent to do something and are productive, replenish the earth, that get blessed, not the one who hide their talent. Because you need to do something. Sitting down there believing that auntie, uncle, and this other person will do something. Auntie, uncle, they were just kids sometime at one point, but they've done something with their lives to get to where they are. And why would I? For me, I don't know. I mean, that's one of the things that um, you know, I share with the young ones that for you to be the person you want to be, you need to do something. You can't sit down in one place and expect that you're going to be this person. But now we are in this new age of internet and everything. People want to be, they want to run before they walk. They see, excuse me, I know stickles. They see, somebody living well. Nothing happens just like that. Nothing happens just like that. People saw one way or the other. What other people see is success at the top. They don't see what is going on at the bottom. Some people, instead of doing something to be who God wants them to be, they want to become somebody else. And in trying to become somebody else, you lose your identity. One loses the identity. You want to be who God wants you to be, because we are all here for a purpose. We are all here for a specific purpose. Nobody is here just because we two people decide to come together. One of the things I like to share, especially when people, science only explains what exists. Science doesn't create. The science doesn't, even if science creates, it creates from what already exists. One of the reasons I say this, when people talk about self-made, somebody is self-made, I say nobody is self-made. you know yeah, we can use that word, but when you look at it, nobody is self-made. How can you go into somebody's house naked and you live in that house, you eat the food there, they take care of you, you know you do everything there, even the brain you have, they gave it to you, and then you get rich and you say you're self-made? How did you become self-made? I would say no. The gratitude needs to go to the person who did everything possible for you to be who you are. And that is God, because all of us came into this world naked, screaming. Nobody came into this world with anything. So how can you say you're self-made? So for me, with everything I go through, I, give thanks to God when I wake up in the morning, because He could have chosen to, take the life out of me to say, your time is up, but he decided that every day, you know, there is a purpose why this child is on this planet. And for me, it's just doing that particular thing that God wants me to do, because in doing that, we find fulfillment. If we go our ways trying to do one thing or the other, yes, one can be successful, but when you are successful in God, you know very well that that is what real success. Whatever you put in God's hand, God will protect it. There is a reason why we are here, and to live by principles. If we live by principles, principles don't change. Principles don't change at all. What you sow, you shall reap. And that's principle. Since this is a set principle, that whatever you sow, you shall reap. Think about the harvest. Think about the harvest, because if you're going to reap that one seed, a seed never produces a seed, it produces a harvest. So if you sow something that is, you know, terrible, or anything that is not the right thing, the harvest will be greater than what you sow. My focus was my goal. Where do I want to be? You have to have a focus, you have to have a goal. Where do I want to be? Or at least ask yourself, is this what I should allow my life to be? Or is this where I want to be? I mean, things happen. When you lose, my mom passed, you know, too early for me. I was in my early 20s when my mom passed. So I think that is one of the things that built my character. I had to grow up. I did my secondary school and primary and secondary in Nigeria. So that is the time I had with my mom. I came from a single parent home as well. So when you look at it, losing, I have one brother who is the same father, the same mother with me, you know. Yeah, I think somehow I've carried a lot of load. So that's why I say if you don't know people, you can't just judge people at the point where you meet them. You don't know their journey, why they are who they are. Because I have one brother who bears the same surname as myself, and we are the same mother, just one brother. When my mom passed on, just and me and my mom, she's the only person I know, and my brother. And then my mom passed a year and a half after my brother went. And for me, it's almost like my life just, you know. But then would I stay there? Would I stay there to say, oh, both of them have gone and I'm alone? So therefore, no, life, continues. I mean, what would be the alternative for me to follow them? But the only way I can follow them if I kill myself. You see what I mean? But as long as God has not taken me with them, I have to think of where I need to go with my life. And I think in doing that, you know, each person is different. I wanted to be somebody bigger than where I came from. Some people think that, oh, if you're born into a certain kind of environment, you can't do this, you can't do this, and all the rest. That is not true. I wasn't born with, you know, all the fancy stuff. I chose the path to say no. I didn't make the choice where I was born, the country I came from, the family I came from, but I can make the choice where I end up. And that was one of the reasons also I left the office. Because of this, you have to do more, you know, you have to do more to get to that level. And for me, it's like, do I have to please people just because of the person God made me? So eventually I decided, he said, if you won't allow me to climb the ladder with yours, I'll create mine and climb it as far as I want. To be one of people, someone who would like to make things happen means that if you're going ahead I always use this example, if you're going into a field where nobody has passed before and you want to create a path, be ready to be beaten by things that you don't know are inside the grass because you're creating a path. It's not easy, but the person who comes after you sees a path. They can now walk clearly. But you who haven't, you have to have a machete to clear the grass so that you see. But that still doesn't mean it doesn't mean that you're not going to get into difficult situation. You can fall. There might be a ditch. There's nobody showing you anything. As long as one knows that they what they want to do, let that be their focus. If that is their focus, then when they fall, after they cry and whatever, it's natural. You get up, dust yourself, pick up your book and read. Initially, it might be difficult for you to even concentrate, but little by little, little by little, little by little, because there are some people who really, really enjoy pity party. They just want people to, sorry, it is sorry, sorry, it's going to be. And then tomorrow they will come back and tell you the same thing. Tomorrow they come back and say, okay, we've heard it. Let's move on. There's a better path. Let's move on. And it's not easy, but if we focus that life is our better days are not behind but ahead of us, then we can make it so. If we allow God, even sometimes people will say nature, in nature to deal with certain things. The better days are ahead of us, they are never behind.